right. The topic title is Lessons in Uncomfortability. And all of you showed up. I'm kind of like, oh, okay, they really want to hear this. So I'm going to start with some questions that I want you to think about, because I use myself as the example, not to talk about myself, but hopefully as I'm speaking about some of the things that have happened in my life, you're going back to those places that maybe that happened to you. So so I want to preface it that way, because sometimes I like, in fact, well, you'll hear it in a minute. I like to think of these are modern day parables, what I talk about, modern day parables. So here's some questions. What is the one thing you truly want to experience that you feel uncomfortable? What a weird question, right? But it's holding you back. Something that's stopping you. Or how can you embrace change with an open mind? Change, that word change, I'll talk about that. Where has fear held you back? And where can you identify and release limiting beliefs? So those are just things I want you to ponder while I'm talking about a lot of different topics here. So expanding beyond your comfort zone. John Lennon says this. There are two fundamental motivating forces, fear and love. When we are afraid, we pull back from life. When we are in love, we open up to all life, offers with passion, excitement, and acceptance. We must learn to love ourselves first, in all our glory and imperfections. If we cannot love ourselves, we cannot fully open our ability to love others or our potential to create. Evolution and all hopes for a better world rest in fearlessness and open heart vision of people who embrace life. I think that's pretty profound. Pretty profound. So, shaping our experience of change is a powerful journey. Knowing that we have control over that and then moving into it and not being afraid. I think we've all heard this this quote by Confucius. Can you turn that for me, next one? Please? Thank you. Confucius says, there's only one thing in life which is never changes, and it's change. Ugh. How many people are comfortable with change? Oh, a couple of little hands go like that. Maybe, maybe not. Well, I've become more comfortable with change, and if you know me for a long time, I always go through a lot of changes, and I'm not afraid to talk about them, because I think that when we can see what change is, and then we can see how you go through it, and then we can see the end result, we seem to grow. Something happens to us. So when we go through change, here's what happens. At least these are the things that I thought about. We unlock our potential. We're not afraid. We kind of go, oh, okay, let me try that. We review our belief system, and I'll talk a lot about these different points here with some stories. We open up to forgiveness of the self and others. Because how many people have made a mistake this week? Okay. Not me. You're perfect. Okay, got it. But we open up to that, you know? I mean, I don't know how many times I have to forgive myself for something that I maybe shouldn't have said or behaved, whatever. And then we realize that change is something we need to become as our true self. As our true self. I talk a lot about that. So this month is all about that uncomfortableness and the things that we have to go through. And in fact, when we were all birthed, it was a divine uncomfortable thing for you and for your mother. Do you realize that? That's when it started. Darn, that's when it started, way back then. But today I'm going to explore personal and the world stuff. Worldly, I'm not going to get into that a lot. The only thing I want to say about the world discomfort is that I have learned in my own way to just sit with it. Is it difficult to sit with the worldly stuff? You know what I'm talking about? And so all I'm going to offer you today about that is just to sit with it and pray knowing that there's some kind of order coming to place. There's order, balance, and love. We need more love, if anything, in the world right now. So I'm just going to offer that. But when we talk about our stories, we have to go inside. How many of, well, I ask you to raise your hand a lot here, so, but how many of you don't like doing that, going inside and looking at stuff? Okay, we got one. A couple, a few, okay. It's not easy. This is not an easy process. And if you're here today, you need to know that's what we do here. We go inside, we look at it, we observe it, we pay attention to it, and then we decide, well, what do I want to do with that? Do I want to stay there? And that's okay. It's okay. I'll give you a short example on forgiveness. It took me 10 years to forgive somebody. And in fact, I can remember the day there was someone in the audience, as they're walking out the door, I said goodbye, and they came up to me and they said, well, I can't forgive them. And I said, that's okay. Just try. Just try every day, one little bit. And they never came back. What can I say? But the truth is, we just keep trying. And I'll give you an example today of how I've had to work on my own self for doing that process. But we have to realize that discomfort gives us options. It gives us an option to go another direction, and it makes space, large space, for transformation. Things change. Things change. So let me give you some examples. This is the first one. I have two stories. I think most of you know that I'm working on a dissertation to get my doctorate through Emerson Institute. Yay. Yay. It's taken me many years. Thank you. It's taken me many years to feel like I was, quote unquote, worthy to do that. And that sounds weird, but it's the truth. I had to, within my own self, go, you know what? It's time. It's time. And I wasn't sure what I was going to write about. And I'm not going to give you the title, and I don't know that I'll let you read it, but I'm going to give you little stories of it, okay? So for 30 years, I have worked, my dissertation is about a 30-year period, before I became a practitioner, before Science of Mind, to who I am today. And as I'm writing this, I'm noticing how uncomfortable I am writing this, because I have to go back and I have to relive those things that were not very nice in some cases. And I have to relive my pink glasses of thinking that ministry was going to be so perfect. I have to look at things and I have to go deep into it to go, well, this happened, so as that happened, and I'm looking from a different observation now. I'm looking from a different place. What did I learn from that? And how did I go through that? And I tell you this because this is really the point of transformation. This is the point of being uncomfortable and going, ooh, I don't like that, and saying, oh, you know what, okay, I'll sit with it, and then I'm going to look at it, and then I'm going to make a choice of which direction I want to go. The thing is, and the other part that's really cool, and I'll give you an exact story in a minute, but is that I have noticed, and this is it doesn't surprise me, but what I have noticed that along the path, I have never been alone. I have never been alone, and I'll cry. God has always been there with me through every moment, every decision, and many decisions when I didn't know what to do. And I've come up with a phrase that says, reveal to me that which I need to know when I don't know what to do. So take that one home. It's a good one too. The point is, it's made so that you can transform. And this thing that I'm doing for myself, it's helped me to embrace change that I've gone through. A lot of changes. And because of that, I feel so much more solid on solid ground. I feel like the people who serve me, like I give them a hard time, and they give me a hard time. But they, I know how devoted they are. There are many of you that serve in this community, and I know how devoted you are to doing the work. It's because I'm devoted, and therefore we have this equal relationship. It's helped me to release my beliefs, cultivate more awareness. Oh my God, going back through some of these stories, I'm like, you'll love this little part. I wrote part of this, and then it disappeared. What did that mean? It meant I had to go back and look at it again, start over again. So I now do a lot of saving. I'm saving more often, so it's caused me to really be deeper with myself and with spirit. So Science Mind says this about some of the things that we're talking about today. It says, Science Mind emphasizes that discomfort in change highlights the importance of conscious awareness, positive thinking based on principle, and aligning beliefs with the creative power of the universe. So it's looking at everything. It's not just discounting it and saying, oh, you feel bad, okay, see you later. It's more about going inside. I am over this cold, but it's like the tail end. It's very different, so. I'm going to give you a story that's in the, that I've already written. Anyway, 30 years ago, before I came to Science and Mind, no, let me just say, 30 years ago, as I was in Science and Mind, I decided, because when I came to Science and Mind, I was extremely broken, very broken, and I wanted to understand what happened to me. What happened to me along the way of life? And so as I took all the classes and I started to become a practitioner, I decided I really want to go deeper into this. So I don't remember exactly when all this happened, but the point is I went to a place called Esalen. Anybody been to Esalen? Do you know what that's like? It's an incredible place. And it's a place where you can do a lot of healing. And I went there between about 6 years, and twice a year I went to go to one particular workshop. It's called Not for the Faint of Heart. Do you remember Mariah? Do you know Mariah?
That's a long time ago.
Okay, me too. Anyway, Mariah had ALS. And yet I know that she worked with thousands of people and she helped them through a lot of stuff. And anyway, I went to this it was my very first time. And of course, back then I was really learning, and I was really naive, and I was really trying to figure life out. So I went to the very first, my very first workshop, and what that looks like is, if you can imagine this room with all of you, instead of sitting in chairs, you're sitting around the floor, and Mariah's standing up here. Now, Mariah had ALS. When I first met her, she could move around. In fact, they showed as she progressed and got worse, they showed videos of her. Now, she wasn't your typical Gestalt therapist. They actually showed a video, and of course there was no sound, and all of us are watching because we just loved Mariah. But she was working with a client and he wouldn't pay attention, so she pushed him over. I mean, she was really into it, and I thought that was quite interesting. But she didn't do that in my workshop by any means. But my very first workshop, I decided I wanted to work on my mom. Who has mom issues? We all do. No, not everybody, but. So I decided that was what I was going to work on. And so in the session, what you do is you come up to a chair. She's sitting, and you can sit next to her, and you tell her your story. You get about 5 minutes to tell her story. The rest is all something that you're working on. So what she did is that she took one of her assistants and said, go to the other side of the room. So imagine there's my mom's on the other side of the room, and turn around. Do not look at Suzette. So she did. And she said, now you get on the floor and you call to your mom. Now I may get a little emotional about this because it was really pretty amazing. And so I called to my mom, and Mom ignored me. And I called again, and I called again. Mom ignored me. Then she told me to crawl to my mother. You see where I'm going with this? She took me right into my feelings. She, as I have mentioned, it takes you right into that discomfort. She did this for about 10 minutes. So by 10 minutes, I was a mess. And then she stops. And she said, let's reset. So she reset. This time, Mom came to the center of the room, and she put me in her arms, and she talked to me. She told me she loved me. She apologized for not being there when I needed her. And so for 10 minutes, my mom talked to me and told me how much she loved me. And then, and this is one of the things we did a lot of, is the entire class came in all at once, and they picked me up, and they held me. So there were like people lined up holding me. And then they played a song that had some significance. I can't remember the song, but I can remember the feeling of looking at all of their faces and realizing that all of them felt the same thing with me, that I wasn't alone. And so we cried together and we loved together, and then transformation took place. Now I tell you this because we have to be willing to go there. Now that was pretty dramatic, and I don't suggest that everybody go and do that unless that's something you really want. But it's important to know that when we have something that needs to be worked on, needs to be healed, that we go there. So because when we go there, transformation is going to happen. If there's one thing I want to leave you with, and that's probably my last word, not now, but at the end, is transformation takes place when we have discomfort. There's some realization that happens, and that helps us. The end result of this is I know that my mother really did love me. Maybe she couldn't show me or express it to me, but she did love me. And it was sad because I found out years later, she went and recreated an entire family because she had lost her initial family of like four children. So I know she loved me. She wouldn't have tried to recreate that over her life if that wasn't true. Brene Brown says this, and I think this is really profound. She says, I define connections as the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued, when they can give and receive without judgment, and when they derive sustenance and strength from the relationship. So all those people that I did all that work with for 6 years, so it would be 12 times, and there were sometimes different people, but a lot of the same, is that I got to watch all of them transform. In fact, one of the interesting things about every session that I went to is, Mariah would talk to us and she'd say, okay, you can cry the whole time if you want, just not over the person that's working. And I thought, wow, that's pretty profound. And I can remember my very first time that I cried for 7 days straight because every story that was there was my story. Everything that hurt was me hurting, and I was with them. And it was an honor. It was an honor to be with them. So, the process. Here's the things that I felt that I learned through all of this. One was releasing the old thoughts with a new image and feeling, creating something new. It's important that we realize that here's my friend that's been gone for 3 months. Let Tessa in. There we go. We have to realize that if we have something that's running us, do you know what I mean? A thought that's running you. Does anybody have an old parent come up and then you have to go, oh, that's mom? Yeah, okay. So that's a clue. Hey, Tessa, I have to say hi. I haven't seen her in several months. So I'm really excited you're here. if you have something that's running you, use that as just, well, a signal. And then say to yourself, what is it I need to know about that? I can remember when I finally realized why I would get so angry so quickly. This is another story. I won't go into the story. But it was my stepmother. And I went, oh, there she is. Do you know what I'm talking about? I can see some heads going, yes. So if you have that, just know that you can replace that with something better. Okay? You can replace that. Secondly is surrender to change. Surrender to change. Don't be afraid of change. Anybody really afraid of change? No, it's just uncomfortable, right? No, you're not. I know you're not back there. She's writing this down, surrender to change. We all go through change. And if you need support, there are people here that will help you through that. To one, know the truth for you, and then to help you through the change. But don't be afraid of it. Sometimes it's scary, you know, and sometimes it's just like talking to somebody about it. But don't be afraid of it. You know, the interesting thing, I'll just talk about part of my change was when I was, because of the way I was brought up, I learned at a very early age that I had to defend for myself. If you've been abandoned, you fend for yourself. You protect yourself because it's your own little world that you can control. But since I've been doing the work, and I'm still like that in some cases, I don't want anybody to talk to me when I'm sick. It's like, leave me alone, I will do it myself. That's just the way it is. And they have learned to do that. But other ways, I've had to, and I've kind of watched myself through the progress even of OM, where I can remember somebody saying to me, will you let somebody help you? Will you let somebody help you? Surrender, Suzette. And so I've learned that how to do that. In my dissertation, I talk about that too. But I've learned how to do that. But the difference between me doing it all and somebody else doing it is along the way I've learned how to qualify that. Do you know what I mean? Qualify good people. I have great people here. And I'm so grateful for that. But the point being is we learn things along the way and then implement those. And the last thing is transformation in conscious choices. We have to make conscious choices nowadays. There is nothing in the world that exists anymore that we don't have to make a good choice. Do you know what I mean? It is not easy to maneuver in the world at times. So we really have to think about those things. And when we do that, we have to do it consciously. And I have to say, I'm just thrilled that all of you are here to hear that, as I know that all of you are trying. And the more of us that are trying to do this consciously, the world will become a better place. And maybe it just starts in your home. And then your neighborhood. And in fact, today I left, when I left my house, my neighbor's son, who normally destroys my road, was hooking up his trailer, and he waved to me. And I thought, oh, now that's progress. He's not going to destroy my road. He's going to do something better. But the point I'm trying to make is it's step by step and not being afraid of that. So here's what I want you to remember. I'm a little short today, but that's okay. When you feel challenged and uncomfortable, remember it's the beginning of a transformation. Now you can take your phones out and you can all copy that. So when it comes up, and there are little moments that happen along the way to getting there, just remember that. Something good is happening. Something good is happening. And if you don't believe that in yourself, I want you to see a practitioner, see a minister. You know, we do this after church all the time. It's free. It's for you. It is for you. I want you to know that there would be aha moments along the way. Aha moments. Sounds Hawaiian, doesn't it? No, it's going to be... I'm trying to make you laugh a little bit about this. But you will be set free. Something will go, oh yeah, I got it. And you'll feel better. You'll feel better. I want you to know that Spirit is going to guide you along the way. You are not alone. There's not a moment you're not alone. It's just about kind of going, okay, reveal to me that which I need to know because I don't know. And then not being afraid to hear what needs to be said or that to listen. I want you to realize if you focus on the possibilities and not on what you don't have, then anything is possible. I've been watching this movie. It's with Nicole Coleman. And I won't go through the whole story, but the bottom line is her son disappears in Japan, in Hong Kong. And the gal that was babysitting at the time, she's talking about herself and how she's doomed. Her mother is that she's no good. Now, neither of these people know they've talked about that. But the thing that I noticed the most about this movie is that she just continues to talk bad about herself. And I'm like, if you believe that you talk bad about yourself, then what are you going to be? Bad. So I'm hoping by the end of the movie something really happens, because it's a series, that she shifts. Because when you talk good about yourself, what happens? Tell me. Good happens. Good happens. Which leads me into my next comment. I want you to become magnets of good. Good in the world. Good in your community. Good in your family. Because God's only going to say yes. And if you're working towards that, even if it's uncomfortable, then you will receive that. You know, when we look at the world, whether it's small or whether it's large, and we look at it, things are good, you know what comes up? Only more good, because that's what you're looking for. You're not looking for the old. And then I'm going to leave you with a quote from Pink. I was watching a video about all her fun stuff. I mean, she's quite a character. But one of the things that she said at the end, and I thought it was pretty amazing, is she says, dream big. What if it comes through? What if it really happens? So, just be a magnet for good and know that God's with you all the time.